Ladies and gentlemen, nature has a way of fixing overconfidence. And the Chief Minister of Telangana has learned that the hard way today. Over the last 2 days, 2 courts, twice each, have come down heavily on his government for bulldozing every rule in the Green Book and felling trees in a 400-acre forest next to Hyderabad University. First, it was the Telangana High Court that passed an interim stay on the earth movers both yesterday and today. Hours later, it was followed by the Supreme Court of India, which expressed shock at the alarming felling of trees across this 400-acre forest. The Supreme Court has fired 4 scathing questions to the Revanth Reddy government. Number 1, what was the compelling hurry to send in the bulldozers and fell the trees? What was the alarming urgency? Was a green impact assessment done? This is what the Supreme Court has asked the Telangana government. They've also asked whether permissions were ever taken for felling any trees in this area. In fact, when the Chief Secretary of the state protested in the court even threatened to send him to a temporary prison constructed at the very same spot where these bulldozers have come, essentially saying, comply or we will send you to prison. As the Supreme Court order came, celebrations erupted at the Hyderabad University, where students have been up in arms against the felling of their forest. While the protests are being led by the BJP student wing, even students affiliated to the Congress are protesting the razing of the jungle.
See, yesterday when the court said that no such activity, any such activity should be halted, we were positive about it. But yes, we still had apprehensions, which eventually became true. We recorded these videos with the timestamp. Even yesterday night also, there was cutting of the trees, which were already felled. They were cutting the trees. There were at some places, the felling was still continued. What happened today, when the Supreme Court took sumoto of this, before the registrar came, I'll show you something, all the JCBs were sent out.
क्योंकि पुलिस नहीं जाने दे रही, तो वो जिसका क्लास है, जिनका वहाँ रीडिंग रूम है, वो जा रहे हैं, तो वो शूट किए थे, वो कहाँ वहाँ कोई काम नहीं रुका है। जेसीबी और अच्छे से काम कर रही है। और दूसरी बात, कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को और भी कहना है कि चूंकि आज हियरिंग है, तो वहाँ जितने भी एविडेंस है, लाइक कटिंग ऑफ ट्रीज, उनके जो भी ब्रांचेस वहाँ गिरे हैं, लीव्स हैं, ट्रंक्स हैं, उनको आज बहुत तेजी से हटाया जा रहा है।
जब तक ये गवर्नमेंट पीछे नहीं हटेगा, जब तक जेसी यहाँ से भाग नहीं जाएगा, जब तक ये पुलिस यहाँ से नहीं हटा जाएगा, तब तक स्टूडेंट्स का, तब तक यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ हैदराबाद का आवाज ऐसे उठेगा, तब तक यूनिवर्सिटी स्टूडेंट का साथ, पूरा दुनिया का आवाज इस बार हमारा साथ में है। कल जहाँ आप स्टेटस को ऑर्डर आने के बाद भी यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ हैदराबाद में बहुत सारे ट्रीज को वहाँ पे कट किया गया। मोर देन 50+ जेसीबीज वहाँ पूरा क्लीन कर रहा था। आज सुबह भी 7 बजे लेकर सुबह 10 बजे 11 बजे तक भी वहाँ पे पूरा ट्रीज को कट कर रहा था।
The Supreme Court's fire and fury today came amidst opposition BRS and BJP claims that Revanth Reddy's government had secretly, overnight, carried out deforestation despite the High Court's order yesterday. Listen in.
But, sir, government seems to be not backing off when it comes to this matter. They're clearly saying that...
government is a habitual offender, where even when the matter is in a court of law, they've actually... I can say they have committed to judicial overreach. They committed to the court that they'll file a rejoinder in 10 days. What did they do? They end up sending bulldozers and JCBs and machines and deploy hundreds of policemen in the middle of the night as well. And they continue to basically destroy the forest there. So even the courts, I'm sure, are watching this kind of excessive behavior from the government. And this government, especially under Revanth Reddy, has not done this once, but several times now with Supreme Court, with High Court. I hope this government, will heed to the advice of public and also to the advice of the courts. If they don't, then we know what to do.
माननीय सभापति महोदय, एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना हैदराबाद में घटी। मुझे समझ में नहीं आया कि ऐसे क्या पेड़ों से दुश्मनी थी कि रात को बड़े भारी संख्या में लाइट लगाकर और बड़ी भारी संख्या में सारे बुलडोजर लगा करके और बड़ी संख्या में 400 पेड़ों को काटा गया। इस मामले की गंभीरता को देखते हुए कल पर्यावरण मंत्रालय ने वहां के चीफ सेक्रेटरी को नोटिस भेजा है, फैक्चुअल रिपोर्ट ली है और निश्चित रूप से जिन्होंने इस प्रकार की कार्रवाई की उन पर हम कार्रवाई करेंगे।
Now, that is the Union Environment Minister speaking in Parliament. Once in a while, we'll all be very happy if he also speaks on pollution levels in the Delhi NCR regions. Somehow, when that happens, Mr. Bhupinder Yadav is nowhere to be found. Anyhow, with the Supreme Court stepping in, the message is now loud and clear. Reckless environmental destruction will not be tolerated. But the big question remains, will the Telangana government now fall in line? Or is this battle far from over? After all, the High Court and the Supreme Court have both ruled that the land belongs to the Telangana government. And the Telangana government says it has records that prove that the land in question is not forest land at all. Revanth Reddy is also claiming that once the IT parks are in place, they will get investments worth 50,000 crore rupees and create 5 lakh jobs. Can Telangana afford to sacrifice that to save a forest? That's the question I'm asking my guests who are joining me this evening. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Meneni Rohit Rao, spokesperson of the Congress Party, joining us on the broadcast. Rohit, thank you very much for your time. Shreya Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS, back on the show today. Stalin Dayanand is director at Vanashakti. Thank you very much, Stalin. And Balakrishna Kanukati was with us yesterday. He's joining us on the broadcast today as well. He's the ABVP National Convener, All India Central Universities Work. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Can I start with you, Rohit? Obviously, since you are representing the Congress Party here, has what the Supreme Court and the High Court said and done today an embarrassment to the Congress government or not? Forget anything else. The Supreme Court is saying that if the Revanth Reddy government does not fall in line and the bulldozers do not stop, the chief secretary will be sent to a temporary prison that is created in that very forest, which Mr. Revanth Reddy and his bulldozers are hell-bent on destroying.
Raji, thanks for having us here. And I look, it's not an embarrassment as such to get a verdict that may not go in your favor, right? We have to look at this is just an interim order, and we respect the Honorable Supreme Court's judgment, and the government has, I believe, taking all the steps necessary to make sure that the order is actually fulfilled as soon as possible. But the larger point remains. What is the land in question? I recollect your opening statements when you mentioned it, the forest. It is not a forest. It's actually in the midst of the IT hub. Gachibowli, if you just Google it up, you'll see that it is the heart of the IT corridor. It's the heart of the financial district in Hyderabad. In 2003, the government actually allocated the land for commercial purposes to a certain company, which they failed to actually take it up. Eventually, after many legal battles, after Revanth Reddy ji became the CM, you yourself said both the courts, High Court, Honorable High Court, as well as the Supreme Court, has ruled that the land at question is actually belonging to the government. Now, the government, in the larger interest of development and making sure that a lot of jobs are created, you yourself quoted some very nice, handsome figures there: 5 lakh jobs and 50,000 crores in revenue for a state that has been looted by the TRS government for 10 years. If there is any scope of making sure that the revenue, the coffers are actually filled up so that the developmental schemes can move forward, we are very clear. We want to create more jobs. There is ample lung space in and around Hyderabad, and this particular land, we believe, is useful in the best interest of the infrastructure. So yes, it is a setback in the Supreme Court, and we would like to, try and get all the required information back to the court and continue with this work. That is where we stand, Shreya.
Okay. So Rohit, you say there's ample of land in Hyderabad, right? The opposition is also saying there is ample of land in Hyderabad. In fact, the government has some 14,000 acres of land stacked away in its land bank, correct? Now, if there is enough land with the government of Telangana in Hyderabad itself, why go after this forest? Now, you're saying this is not a forest. Rohit, please help me understand, if this is not a forest, what is it? There are trees here, there are shrubs here, there are animals here, there are 8 scheduled animals, in fact, here as well. There are 2 lakes here as well. Now, if this is not a forest, what is it? You can say, "Arey, paper dekho, revenue land hai ye, government land hai, revenue land hai, we can sell it off." But who will believe it, Rohit, when you say this is not forest land? Even the Supreme Court is not believing you.
This is in the heart of Hyderabad. If everyone for to go and see whether it's you, what you see as a forest or not. If there is some overgrown shrubs and trees and there's some some animals that have migrated there, that has to be dealt with. But the purpose of the land is for commercial purposes. And may I say, there's a 111 geo in Telangana, in Hyderabad, which is given ample space, very close to particular land that we're talking. There's acres and acres and acres and acres of undeveloped area, no high-rise buildings. This particular area, the reason why we would like to actually make it into IT corridor is it's surrounded by IT parks, and it's very easy to attract investment. And our priority at the moment is to attract that investment and create the jobs. We got and can I make this point absolutely being fair here? This debate about environmental concerns versus development is an ongoing one. And as a developing nation, I'm sure we have our challenges. Every nook and corner of this country has some environmental challenges. But the larger problem for any developing country is to make sure that the youth get the jobs. And that's what the Telangana government is committed to.
Okay. Stalin Dayanand, would you want to come in here as director of Vanashakti? The Congress government in court and in public utterances has maintained two things. A, they are saying this land belongs to the Telangana government, and it does belong to the Telangana government because the Supreme Court has said it and the High Court has said it. So we can't dispute that. But what certainly, Mr. Stalin, can be disputed is the Telangana government's claim that this is not a forest land. The logic is this is right in the heart of Telangana. Now, if this is right in the heart of Telangana, and if it was lying empty and shrubs and trees have grown here and some animals have migrated, you suddenly cannot overnight declare revenue land that belongs to the government as forest land. Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself. Mr. Dayanand, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry,
We can't
I'm
hear
sorry.
you.
I unmuted myself. I'm thankful to Mr. Rohit for saying this, that the site is in the middle of all IT parks. So which vehicles were used by the wildlife to transfer and migrate to this place? Okay, first thing. Secondly, this argument that it is not a forest, is been there, seen it, done it. This was taught by the BJP government in Maharashtra when they destroyed the RA forest. They went to the Supreme Court and said RA is not a forest, it has only government buildings and slums. It turns out that 828 acres of forest was officially notified later on. Just because you have not done something on paper to notify it as a forest, it means you are in violation of the Honorable Supreme Court's order in the Godavarman case. In the Godavarman case, the direction was that you have to identify and notify all kinds of forests. But the Telangana government has failed in its job. Now, when you talk of forest, it doesn't mean full-grown trees. The forests are of many types. You have shrub forests, you have grasslands, you have rainforests, you have many kinds of forests. Here you can see the wildlife which is needing that forest to survive. Wildlife is not going to get accommodation in the IT parks, and it's not going to be fed three-course meal every day. So this kind of insensitive approach by the Telangana government, it has to remember it has a constitutional obligation to protect wildlife. There is no law which Mr. Rohit or his party or any government can use to destroy the environment. Every single law says protect it. It's our duty. And the students, I'm so thankful. I was so happy to see this, that the students came out in large numbers. And best part, at least Mother Nature brought both the BJP and the Congress supporting students together. So that itself is a statement that here there are no politics. Mercifully, they are not being, called names or defamed in any way. But whatever they are doing, hats off to them, and we support them in every single way. This is a forest. The proof of the cake is in the pudding. If there is wildlife there, if there is enough vegetation there, it is a forest, period. No matter what your government says or what your record says. Are you saying it's a desert with camels roaming around there? No. When you see something, you cannot insult your own intellect. Just because there is a document which says the contrary, you can't put a board of a donkey on a tiger and say, no, it's not a tiger, it's a donkey as per the records. So it is ridiculous to say these kind of things. I only appeal to this government to try and find a way out. There is enough land available. I really can't understand what is this insatiable greed to just bulldoze green areas and then build something on that and then spend money to create the same thing which you have destroyed. This is absurd. It is an exercise in stupidity and absurdity, I would say, with no disrespect to anyone.
Balakrishna, would you want to come in here? since since Stalin did mention students, and students were the ones who were the face of this protest at the Hyderabad University, and a lot of pressure has come from the student bodies as well. Has what the Supreme Court and the High Court done today a victory for you, or is it only a partial victory? Because the students have been very upset about the fact that despite the High Court saying that no bulldozers will roll till Thursday, actually overnight, again, tree felling took place.
Hello, namaste. So I'd like to put a few things into perspective. The opening remarks, you said that it is next to Hyderabad University. This land is not next to Hyderabad University. This land is within the Hyderabad University. Yes, we have to dissect this entire issue, look at it from a legal point, and then the environmental aspect. Now I'd like to put the whole thing that played out today. Now, what the Supreme Court has said today is a tight slap on the face of the government, face of the Telangana government. The government said that there is nothing, there is no biodiversity in that place. Now, if there is no biodiversity, did you have any answers for the questions that were forced? And what is the hurry? Why are you in a hurry? Are you going to build empires overnight? Are you going to build IT worlds overnight? What was the hurry? And the next thing, yesterday, after the court said, forgive me for my voice, my throat is bad. So after the court said, no such activity should be carried out, there was continuous felling of trees. And you know what these people did? They fell down the trees and they're cutting them with seesaws and then transporting them overnight. They think that they can take the democracy, this entire constitutional setup for granted. You think you can, cut off an entire biodiversity and say that nothing actually existed here? What did the report that came in from the High Court register, what did it say? Do you think people are not observing you? The Congress spokesperson should say, no, these are all the biodiversity aspects that we are talking. And you're telling that the animals have migrated here. And how are you making an argument when you're telling that it is in between an IT park? Which space vehicles did these animals book to come over and land here? It is their natural habitat. Did you even see the video where the peacocks can be heard crying when the bulldozers were bulldozing all this habitat? But I would like to make an important statement. We look at it as a temporary victory. Our fight will still continue until the land is registered on University of Hyderabad's name and the entire biodiversity is restored back.
Okay. Balakrishnan, do stay on with us because I will go with your questions to Rohit as well. But for the moment, I'm bringing in Sridhar Reddy, spokesperson of the BRS. Mr. Reddy, your party is being accused by the Congress party of misleading students, of launching a misinformation campaign. Mr. Reddy, as someone who has served in the government, can I ask you this? One understands the concerns of the Hyderabad University. One understands the concerns of environmentalists. This is one of the few green spaces left in Hyderabad, one of the few green lungs left. And you need such places in urban cities, in urban areas, right? We understand the concern. But look at what is on the other side. On the other side of this debate are IT parks, and not just IT parks, there are other projects planned there as well. The government's contention is it will attract investment of 50,000 crore rupees. It will create 5 lakh jobs, and many of these students who are protesting at the Hyderabad University are the ones who will be employed by these IT parks. So can the government afford to sacrifice these 5 lakh jobs for a forest?
See, first of all, you have many alternatives to allocate the land for infrastructure, whether it is for IT companies or any kind of other corporate, number one. Number two, what is there to mislead there? Are we speaking to elementary class students? They're all postgraduates, research scholars. And do you think that any political party can mislead them, rather provoke them to do such kind of a protest? That was done voluntarily by them because they believe that that particular land belongs to HCU. Now, here the government of Telangana, Congress party's government, trying to rather divert the attention of the people by, showing it as a, land revenue issue. No, as you are all saying now, as the environmental activists are fighting, and the civil society is objecting to it today, felling of trees, century-old trees, disturbing the biodiversity there, and destroying the lung space there is the big concern out here. And Hyderabad today, up till in the newly proposed regional ring road, the state government now announced it is in HMDA limits, Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority. There is huge land bank available for the government in all the corners, Hyderabad, whether you go to northern part of Hyderabad, southern part of Hyderabad, western, eastern, whatever. And there are many other spaces available for allocating the land. If you go to, there are some corporates, some companies have come up in the southern part of Hyderabad, eastern part of Hyderabad, which are 25 kilometers away from Hyderabad. You have good infrastructure out there. You have land bank, and Revanth Reddy's government itself has announced a future city, which they are talking about some 45,000 acres. Earlier, whatever land they have collected, rather gathered for farmer city, they have cancelled the farmer city, planning something else. So the question is not the availability of land. The question is the government's, plan of action. And I don't know what is the hurry, as Supreme Court was rightly questioning. What is so hurry? Why are you in a hurry to destroy this place immediately? Remove the entire flora and fauna there and all. Dragging the protesters, beating them, thrashing them, filing FIRs and all that. You could have addressed the issue properly in a way you are supposed to address in a proper manner. You are a democratically elected government, and you have a responsibility to protect the lung spaces. And as you know, we talk about global warming, we talk about vegetation, we talk about increasing forest cover, and being a responsible government, you go and fell the trees. I am really not understanding the government's, what is their objective basically, and it is only about allocation of lands to corporate investment. You have many alternatives.
Okay, Rohit Rao then come in here finally. At least 3 speakers on the panel, including the Supreme Court that is not on the panel, has asked the Telangana government one question: where is the hurry? There's a context to it, right? The Supreme Court has asked all state government to set up committees that will identify forest land in their state. When exactly do you set up this committee in Telangana? You set it up on 15th of March. This is a timeline that the Supreme Court of India is giving. I'm not making it up. So 15th of March, you institute a commission that will identify forest land in Telangana. Even before that committee meets for the first time, you have declared this particular 400-acre parcel of land, which is a forest, as not being forest land, and started felling trees, which is why the Supreme Court is asking, where is the hurry? Rohit, the point is politics is about perception. Have you and your government, I mean your chief minister and your government, completely messed up the optics around the issue?
Shreya, we haven't labeled this land as forest or not forest. It has been commercial, is commercial, and that is the fact I've been making over and over again. But can I just quickly talk about the ABVP, my dear friend? Just please, if you don't mind, ABVP dear friend, what he said, and also subsequently BRS spokesperson said, this is exactly what's been happening. The issue is sensitive. I'm not naive to say that it's not a sensitive issue. Environmental versus development is always a sensitive issue. But the very fact that there were peacocks making sound or noise, which was raised by the ABVP activists, that was a fake video. Similarly, lot of posts have been going around where there are images of deers being killed. This is all false news. I can show it live on your TV right now. This is all false news, fake news that has been propagated by the political parties. And the students, unfortunately, are falling for it. They are dramatizing the issue. They are overly dramatizing the issue, and unfortunately, the students, they get into the emotions, and that is not the land of the university. Yes, good things have been done better always. Whenever there's a controversy, you always like to say that things could have been done better. But the fact remains, we are committed to creating more jobs, and that's the stand we would like to stick to.
Okay, Rohit, are you telling me that there are no peacocks and deers in that forest?
No, no, no. What I mean to say is the noise.
I'm not talking about the video you showed me. I've not showed that video.
The video
I'm
that
asking
was
you, are
taken
you
by
trying,
the-
forget the fake videos. Are you trying to tell me that there are no peacocks and deers in that forest?
There is no exact number of whether there are any deers or peacocks. There has been no survey done. Whatever is there, I don't know. I don't know the fact of that, but the sounds and the images and the over dramatizing of the entire episode is actually false narrative. It's fake narrative. It's trying to play with the emotions of the poor students, right? Aren't political parties supposed to talk about the truths and the facts? Why are they over dramatizing the issue? Okay, talk about the fact that it is a lung space. Isn't it better to protect it? Okay, you have a fair point there. I agree. We are saying there are other spaces that can, meet the, oxygen requirements or any other clean air requirements of the city. This particular land we feel is much more suitable for the commercial aspects and for creating more jobs. So what is wrong with the Shreya ji? And yes, we had a setback in the Supreme Court, and we will fight it legally.
Rohit, you are accusing the opposition and the students' body of over dramatizing what is happening. Now, I cannot think of anything more dramatic than the pictures I'm seeing on our screens. In the dead of the night, you have 50 bulldozers and earth movers move into a 400-acre forest, which you say is not a forest, and start felling trees. 400 trees, 100 acres of land has already been flattened according to the High Court registrar who had gone on the orders of the Supreme Court to this particular part of the city. I can't think of anything more dramatic than students being pushed, pulled, put into trucks by the police and being detained as well. I can't think of anything more dramatic than a reporter who's reporting on the story being detained by your government. So the dramatics have been on the part of the government, many would say, not the opposition. Can I bring in Balakrishnan to just respond to what you're saying, and I'll let you come in, Rohit, after that, wrap the show after that. Balakrishnan, go ahead.
The Congress government and the Congress person should understand that anything and everything that they say, that they can get away with anything and everything that they say. Shame on this person from the Congress for telling that the video where the peacocks were crying is a doctor video. Why don't you ring up your NSUI guys sitting right? I'm in my hostel, they're right behind my room. Why don't you ring them up and ask them if this was a doctored video? Shame on you. Your chief minister has learned it the hard way. You guys will learn it the hard way. You think you can say anything on national television and get away with it? You think you can bring up any random story and make up such absurd statements? Shame on you. There can be no, you cannot stoop much lower than this. And if that is, we have invited your chief minister to come. We have invited your chief minister to come with media. Why is your chief minister hesitating to come here? Otherwise, let's forget everything. You've got two alumni from UOH, Sridhar Babuji and Bhatti Vikramarkaji. Why don't you ring them up and ask them if that video was doctored? Why don't you ask them if that there are no peacocks on campus, if that there are no deers on campus? You should bend your head in shame.
If Shreya ji can take it up and if Shreya ji can take it up and actually get whether the fact check, whether that video is fake or not, I would love it. Play it on air tomorrow. I'll send you the video myself. I'll send you the video myself. And if I'm proven wrong,
Rohit, look, that's not the point. Okay. Aja, theek hai. Just a minute. Mr. Reddy, I'll give you 20 seconds and I'll let Rohit respond and we'll wrap this discussion. But 20 seconds, Mr. Reddy.
Rohit, you can't be, saying the students are dramatizing, environmental activists are dramatizing. You are dramatizing the people and you're dramatizing everything. And your government, a directionless government, doing this destruction, this is dramatization, what is shown on the screen now. The earth movers lined up in the night during the, during the night, we're having police security. What is so hurry? Look at the visuals. These visuals, if you think that they are doctored, even you are talking about a national channel showing these visuals that they are also doctored videos. I'm sorry. I mean, only Congress, right? Everybody else is.
So Rohit ji, the fact is that the chief minister in the assembly can say that there are no deers in this 400-acre land, only wily foxes who are trying to derail Telangana's development. But The pictures are on your screens. Stalin, 10 seconds, we'll wrap this. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Rohit's government's crime is very clearly exposed when they are doing this kind of actions at night. Like you said, the only purpose was to defeat the Supreme Court's directive to identify this as a forest. Once it is flattened, then it is a fait accompli system, situation. So this crime is exposed. He should not try to defend the indefensible. He has been caught red-handed trying to destroy this forest. It is a forest. There is no two ways about this. They have to accept it with humility and remember, please, one thing I would like to say is that this habit of thrashing or dragging students and civil society activists should stop. Police cannot escort criminals like rapists and murderers and drag these people like animals. This is not done. They should stop immediately. The Congress talks about democracy. They should practice it first.
Okay. Rohit, since there is a lot of attack that has come your way, go ahead, please. No one is ready to believe this is not a forest. And almost everything, even your supporters in the campus think you have messed this up.
Thank you, Shreya ji. It's appearing to be 3 versus 1 or sometimes maybe 4 versus 1, but I'll take that. See, I was not pointing to the visuals that were being played on national TV and saying they're forged. Sridhar Reddy garu. I was talking about the fact that some of the images that were being floated in social media, some of the videos that are being floated in social media that have been over dramatizing this. That is what I meant. Again, in concluding comments, like I said, I am as a spokesperson of Congress, I am agreeing to the fact that this is a sensitive issue and environment versus development is always an ongoing issue, especially in a country like India, especially in a state like Telangana, which is facing serious revenue problems because of the misrule of the previous BRS government. And yes, is where we stick to, Shreya ji.
Okay, Rohit Rao, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. For the moment, the Supreme Court of India has put a spanner in the works, at least as far as your IT park is concerned. Mr. Reddy, out of time. Thank you very much. Time for dinner. Stalin Dayanand, thank you very much for joining us. And Balakrishnan, thank you very much for being with us as well. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. Coming up next, the MNS is on a rampage in Maharashtra. The question is, why is the Devendra Fadnavis government not stopping these goons? That's up next. Do stay with us.